worked on sales, here's what I'm finding is that many of us are doing a good job on phones of converting the leads. You're doing a great job of getting appointments when you get on the phone with people. Is that right? Okay, so what we're going to talk about here in the second half of the session today is how to get more people on the phone, and you'll get them. We're going to look at a 4-point system for doing that. But before we go down that path, let's make sure that when we do get in front of people, like we're actually able to monetize the business. Signing agreements, listing agreements, buying agreements, it sucks. And to only have it fizzle out and turn into nothing. So you've got to have a strategy for making sure things get monetized. So what you're looking at right now, apart from us leveraging the listing that we just get to get more listings, which is a marketing system that ends up in a lot of prospects calling, and of course we sell the property. These are things that you're looking at right here on this little PowerPoint slide that are in addition to that. These things are aimed at getting the house sold over and above, one more time, over and above our system for using the property to generate a lot of business. In other words, using the listing and writing ads. So I'll run through these momentarily for you. So Angela had a good question. She said, okay, let's say I'm at the listing appointment, and at the listing appointment, the seller says, look, this is all really good, and you sound like you got it going on, and you look like you're the best thing ever, but whatever their but is, it doesn't really matter. But let's say that they still believe they need to interview other real estate agents. So they still want to talk to other people. So we're doing our best to get the listing. Well, what most real estate agents do is they'll begin to give up the price as part of the benefits presentation, but it's not. So let's make sure that you're able to break this down. So if you're an inside sales agent, this will be very helpful to you so that you know it. If you're an OSA, dude, this is a game changer. And if you're a team leader, this is absolutely what you should be teaching your team to do. When you show up to a listing presentation, it essentially breaks down into 4 parts. So part number 1 is to establish rapport, to read your audience. Does everybody get that? That's not written down here anywhere, but write these down for me. Step number 1 is to read your audience. You've got to build rapport. I want to know what their disc concept is. In other words, what approach am I going to take? Like, what's my sales approach? And that's only going to be derived based on their motivation and their personal concept. That's important. So that's what you're establishing. Gauging motivation, gauging disc, building rapport before you ever do anything else. Part 2, what is their vision? In other words, why are they moving? So on the listing agreements, let me just pull one up here. I'll show you what I mean. So part 2 is I want to know why they're putting themselves through this hassle. So what this tells me is several things. Number 1, their formula. In other words, what do I need to do in order to get their business? I've got to show them that our system gets them what they want. I'm going to be the deliverer of what they want. So if you don't do this, you're going to assume that all they want is their home sold at some price in some time frame. That's just part of it. There's a reason why they're going through the whole thing. So you want to know why that is. That's part 2. You're going to sit down and you're going to find out before you ever do anything the answers to these questions. So you can see this is just page 1 of our listing agreement. They don't see page 2. They don't see page 3. If they did, I wouldn't care because page 2 and page 3 just talk about them. As you can see, that's page 2 of the listing agreement. I don't care if they see that. There's no dates and times and prices. But for the sake of what we're talking about, part 2, when I show up to their house to make sure we're getting these leads converted to signed agreements, is what you see. What is their vision? Why are they moving? What's most important? What do you believe has to happen? So when they're giving me this information, 2 things are happening. Number 1, what's their formula for closing them? Because I'm going to bring these things up during the benefits presentations. I'm going to show them how my buyer profile system or my guaranteed sale program or whatever other benefits we have in our system, how it gets them what they said they want. That's number 1. Secondly, I want a 5-star review. I'm going to get a commission check. Okay, that's a given. I want the 5-star review. It's more important to me at this moment in the growth of my business than the commission check. Can't get the 5-star review without a commission check, but I can sure get commission checks without 5-star reviews. All right, everybody get that? All right. So they're giving me their formula for getting a 5-star review. If I know what it is they want, their expectation, I'm in good shape. Okay, now I know what the first mile is. So if I'm going to go the second mile, and over-deliver, as Craig would say, great customer service, Well, I need to know what the first mile of the customer service is, and that's what this is. So that's the two things you get accomplished in what I call part two. Part three is the actual listing presentation. That's just going through the benefits presentation and demonstrating value. And part four is closing, getting them to sign the paperwork. So if I mix in the setting of the price of their home with the listing presentation, that's a huge mistake. That's a whole separate thing. That's on the paperwork, the price is. I'm not doing a pricing presentation. So pricing is easy. Once I get through the listing presentation and say, hey, assuming we come to an agreement on price and our fee, are you okay with us handling the sale of the house for you? So let's say the seller says, I don't know, Todd. I mean, I'm thinking about interviewing other real estate agents. I'm like, okay, well, when's your interviews? And they tell me. So, okay, great. Saturday at 10. Then why don't I pop back over here then? It's Saturday at noon when you're done with that one. And then we can pick it up from there. What do you think my home's going to sell for? Like, what's the price? And I'm like, well, wait a second. Isn't price a function of supply and demand? So it makes sense then that the agent that will create the most demand for your home would get you the highest price. Is that right? And the seller's going to say, well, yeah, that makes sense. I say, okay, well, whoever that is, whoever you believe is the one to create the highest demand for your home, that's the one you want to really drill down on the price point. But in terms of value, like, sure, you want to get 300, it's going to be around there somewhere. But the specifics on it are going to be driven by demand, right? So whoever that agent is who's going to create the most demand, that's who you want to really drill down on that. So talk to Bill that you're going to interview Saturday at 10. I'll be back over here Saturday at noon. Is that okay? All right, great. Thank you. And you collect your stuff and leave. But you leave behind what we just talked about, those materials for leave behind. I'm going to help them interview Bill. And that's going to make me look really good. So controlling the interview process.